Welcome to Bare Bones. With your host, Danny Meehan and Dr. Mason West.
Welcome in to this episode of Bare Bones, our final episode before our live in-person draft show. This is one of my favorite episodes. It's fun. We get to have a good time doing this. Danny, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I've got a toddler stealing my food.
I asked you right when you put like food like in your mouth. That was not great.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm trying to balance having had my kids' therapy session this afternoon and making dinner and stuffing my face before we kicked off here.
No, that's what happens when you're balancing, and this is when you have your little side hustle and you got to balance life in general. It's what it is. So for this show, like I said, I'm very excited. Like we do every year, we are running a live mock draft, maybe two of them, depends on how long this takes for the first one to go through. But essentially, right, I'll be playing the role of general manager, Danny, assistant GM, aka the get back guy. Hopefully the Bears have that because their old get back guy is not head of football operations over in Atlanta. And our director of personnel is currently unknown whereabouts. So we'll see if he ends up showing up. But otherwise, you, the chats, get to participate. You're our Midwest regional scout. So how this is going to work, we're going to have at least 4 names that we decide are who we'd like to take at a certain pick, potentially also an option of a trade back or trade up that might be in there. I will do the best I can to get a poll going. This is the first time I'm using this poll as a part of the recording software that we have. So bear with me if it's a little funky, but you should, if you're on X, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, be able to follow along and vote and have your voice heard. Also throw comments in there as well. We want to hear your thought processes on these players that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's kind of the nature of it. You guys are supposed to give your input and intel that you hear and want us to take into consideration before we make a selection or a trade.
Yeah. All right. So, I'm choosing to use Pro Football Network's draft simulator for reasons that maybe are only important to me. But another reason is because a friend of the podcast, Jacob Infante, is now a bigwig over there. So, want to promote his thought processes, his stuff. And I think this mock simulator is just as good, if not better than PFF. So, we're going to use it. I want your opinion, Danny. What list would you like to use for this? We got Pro Football Networks. We got the Consensus, ESPN, PFF, The Athletic, and we're not going to do user ADP.
I would probably say Consensus. It probably gives you the best overall look at how all the experts see it, or all the big boys do it, kind of thing. That I think it just makes the most sense to me.
I would agree. And around this time, especially now, some of those individuals, the McShays of the world, Mel Kipers, Dane Bruglers, they're all starting to use even more lean on what teams are saying. Like, for example, I was listening to the Athletic Football Show today, and one of the things they talked about was Dane was talking to teams, and teams feel like there's going to be a second or even third guard that goes. And that's one of the reasons why he shifted his mock draft to have another guard going in the first round. It's not necessarily what he would do, but that's what he's hearing. So it's important to highlight. All right. Yeah. Ready to go, Danny?
No, let's do it.
All right. We have this on fast because I don't think we really need to worry. We're not trading up, right? I mean, let's be real. No. The Bears only have seven picks, and they need as many picks as they can get. And also the way this draft sits, I'm going to use a Ryan Pace thought process here. There are clouds of players that work out fairly well for what the Bears may need.
Yep.
All right. So we do have a couple trade offers here. For example, right now we got the Chiefs trying to offer pick 29 for pick 25, along with a future third-round pick that belongs to the Rams. We could trade back with the Giants for a pick at 145, moving back about 12 spaces, go real far back with the Ravens for 20 picks. And So I'm going to hide that for a second so we can see what players that we have here. That matters too, right, Danny?
Yeah.
All right. So what, even outside of player, what position are you saying we're at 25? We need to get here.
So I think that your bucket of players is probably going to consist of, in terms of need, I would say in order, probably edge, safety, and in some iteration, a left tackle or a offensive tackle.
All right. So we have here a couple names that I think would fit what the Bears need here. Just actually, a couple players that got drafted before. Good to highlight. So Caden Proctor, one of the tackles, is gone. Caleb Lomu, one of the tackles, is gone. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, a player that is often mocked to the Bears, is gone. Dylan Thieneman, also gone. Keem Mesidor, gone. Just to get
all the popular Bears targets got sniped.
Yep.
Jeez.
So this is actually going to be really interesting for us.
God damn.
All right. So, Peter Woods is available. I don't know about you, Danny. I'm not a huge Peter Woods guy.
So I think I'm conflicted on that because given what we know about the players for the interior defensive line position that Dennis Allen typically targets, Peter Woods is like the ideal, especially when you go back to 23 and 24's film. And historically, guys that produce early in college tend to produce early in the NFL. It's when you start getting the guys that are later bloomers that have a harder time with the adjustment. Now, Peter Woods did regress this year.
He did. So did a lot of that school, though.
Yeah, so I'm inclined to make him a choice, despite me saying he wasn't one of the primary positions in need, because he has an argument for, just as a talent, probably being the best available talent.
I think I've come off with some of my takes on the Twitter sphere that I hate Peter Woods, and that's just not the case. I mean, he has the ability to win. He's quick. He's strong. His hand usage is great. It's just he's not consistent. And last year's tape, especially, it was like,
bad.
Do you want to be here? It didn't seem like he cared.
I mean, have you? Yeah, I think that part of that is also coaching, and they kind of knew with Cade Klubnik, which, say what you want. I don't care about his purported injuries or not. You have an idea. It was like the Luther Burden thing at Mizzou, right? Where we all kind of finger wagged him like, you got to play harder than that. Well, look at who your quarterback is.
Yeah. So I will put him I will consider him. Let's look at a couple other names just in case. So one that I think we both can agree should potentially be on here. And before we get into heavy conversations on these, we'll just kind of get 4 names here so y'all can start voting in that. So Maxi Iheanacho, offensive tackle.
I think he should be a name that you consider. Yeah.
Okay.
Considering of the names that you listed, Lomu, Iheanacho, and Proctor would have been the 3 tackles I think worth considering here. And considering 2/3 of those are gone, and that leaves 1.
Yeah. So now we kind of start to look at probably edge. So Zion Young is a very popular name. I assume he should be a part of this.
You're talking about the sorts of edges that Dennis Allen typically targets. Yeah, he's right in there.
Okay, so I'm going to include him as well. So that's 2 down.
I'm trying to
I think we should throw TJ Parker in here.
TJ Parker would be the other one that I think is very much in play. Now, do we want to throw a curveball and just talk about the idea of a corner?
It is a bigger need than some people are willing to have a discussion about.
Is Colton Hood sitting there?
We have the top 3 corners here, and actually I like them all for different reasons. Avian Terrell, Colton Hood, and Chris Johnson.
And I think only one of those is a fit. I think Avian Terrell's a nickel, and that's already filled. And I think Chris Johnson is that's too rich at 25.
I would also agree. I like Chris Johnson, not at 25. So you know what? Let's do it. We're going to throw cornerback Colton Hood in here for our final person. So save that. Start and show. Boom. It covers your face, unfortunately, the poll. Actually, hold on. I can move it. You're going to go over here. I figured it out. I'm smart. Okay. So poll is up. So get to voting, guys, if you have any inclinations of who you'd like the Bears to take here. So, Danny, if you were looking at these 4 names as assistant GM. Oh, and Joel, is the poll going to be on Twitter or YouTube? I believe it should be on all 3 platforms. But I would think YouTube might be the easiest one. But yeah, go ahead, and the poll is live, so hopefully y'all can go ahead and vote on that. This is the first time I'm using it, and there's really not a good way to test it. So Danny, who would you lean towards? Or actually, let's flip this. Who would you cross off the list? You're like, you know what? I like the player, but I think one of the other three is who I'd rather have.
At this juncture, I do like Zion Young, and I know the prevailing thought, especially of late when you listen to the big boys like McShay and stuff, they say he is going in the first round. I can't watch him and think he's a first round talent. So I think I would personally take Zion off.
And why is that?
So to use the Dennis Allen methodology, typically he likes guys that are big, edge setting space eaters, which is what Zion Young is, but they always typically have a pretty good first step, if not an elite first step. Zion Young does not have that. And then you factor that in with, I believe he's got some DUI charges in his past. He's got, I think that's enough to kind of make me in this hypothetical just kind of say, you know what? I think he's a good option here. He's in the cloud, but he's not at the top of the cloud.
Yeah, he's very much the measurables kind of a thing, right? Like in terms of like how he's built, but like he's not very quick, and he's not very diverse in his pass rushing. So if you're really trying to get a pass rusher,
right? Yeah, and the stuff he is good at, though, he is very good at. Like he is a tremendous run stopper. He is a bat out of hell when it comes to tackle for loss and stuff in the run game. He's just not much of a pass rusher, and I don't think he has much of a plan when he pass rushes either.
So I think I would agree. I would take off Zion for similar issues. I just think if you're going for an end here, either you want to get somebody who has potential to be a good pass rusher based on tools, even if they don't show it, or they've shown consistent pass rush production, and he really doesn't fit either of those. So I'm good on not having him as a part of this. Okay. Going on to some of those other names, though, right? So now we can look at TJ Parker, Colton Hood, and Max Iheanacho. I know you and I differ on the thought process for Iheanacho a bit, so I think that would be a good one to have a conversation about.
My thought process is just going to come down to two things. One, you have Ben Johnson, and like you covered up the left tackle hole last year, and I think we've gotten to a bit of revisionist history with how good that Ozzy Trapillo was at points last year, where he became merely bad instead of horrendous, the way Trapillo, or the way that what's his name is. Why am I blanking on his name? Whatever. So I just think, like, especially for a guy, he's only really ever played right tackle at the high college level in the Power 4 conferences. He was left tackle, I know, in JUCO, and he's only played football for a grand total of 4 or 5 seasons. Like, I get the appeal, and he is a great like run blocker. He plays with attitude, and he's a mauler. Like, I get the appeal. I like him. I just don't know if I like him for this specific situation, because I think number 25 has to play, and I don't know if he's going to play right.
And so I think that, and for those, pulling back the curtain a little bit, Dan and I had this conversation a little bit a couple days ago, so that's what I'm alluding to. Where we differ is I don't think that 25 has to play right away. And I get why you're saying that. I get why a lot of people would say that, because, right, you not just kind of nudge the door open, you kind of kicked the door open this last year in with how the Bears burst onto the scene, right? We're able to win that first playoff game against the Packers. You have a window that with Caleb's contract as a rookie that you're trying to take advantage of. And so I absolutely understand all of that. Where I push back on it is two things. One, at some point you need to start acting like a team that plans to consistently be a part of the conversation, even if you've only done that for 1 year. And you do that by drafting sometimes a year ahead. You may not need a left tackle tomorrow. Like if the Bears had to play a game tomorrow, they have 5 left tackles on the roster that could play for you, right? And there's going to be a variety of outcomes with those players. We just don't know what they are quite yet.
Correct.
That being said, you're also now a year away from saying, I don't know who the heck our left tackle is, because Braxton Jones still had lost a step. Benedict is who he was before, a decent run blocker, a bad pass blocker. Wills got hurt again, because that's kind of been his story. Mm-hmm. And Ozzy Trapillo just is 75% of who he was, right? I mean, that is a potential outcome that we see here. So that's where I think that you could have whoever, one of those names who I just listed, not Ozzy, obviously, play either 6 weeks or wherever the Bears bye is, up to that bye, and do something similar to last year, where all of a sudden Ian Antor now comes in as your left tackle.
I get the perspective. I also just think, like I said, a bigger part of my reasoning isn't just the playing. It's the fact that you have the coach and you had a good offense, but a not good left tackle situation. And while I do understand the perspective of eventually you got to start taking projects and stuff like that, like because that might just be the best football talent available, you're not at that point. You're not good enough. Your defense is actively that bad where you need to infuse, even if you know you're willingly settling for maybe a double, you need to infuse talent there because you're just not stopping anyone at this point.
The question I'd throw to you is, what is more likely? You lose a football game because of your starting left tackle, or you lose a football game because of your third edge? I'll say second. So we'll say second edge, just to make it more.
I would say they're both for this team. Like, I can, maybe my opinion is just different. I just think the defense is so actively awful that even a guy who's fine is an upgrade.
And I think that's where I'm going. I'm taking that same thought and just applying it to your defense is so bad. But one fine guy elevate it enough to really matter? Versus, I think if your left tackle is a problem, you could have a bad season.
Right, but we saw the left tackle be a problem last year, and they were already a good offense. Doesn't this fly?
I don't want to go back to the Theo Ben.
Doesn't this fly in the face of the idea that you have Caleb and Ben to mask the issues? That's what I'm saying. That's where my argument is coming in.
Yeah. So I think we have two other players to talk about still here. So let's talk about TJ Parker. We already have said we're not going to go with Zion at this point in time. And for those who are looking, I don't know why the stupid poll is not working. I apologize. That's I'm going to blame StreamYard and yell at them because that's super lame. So for now, I would just say, yeah, throw your vote in the chat as we're talking about it. Because unfortunately, I don't have the alternative that I used in the previous years. Mm-hmm. So sorry about that. StreamYard sucks. So TJ Parker, he's a guy that I think I was higher on when this whole draft season started versus where I've ended up with him. I think he's just still learning how to unlock his like counter moves. I think that size wise, he's fine, but not necessarily what you normally look for in a Dennis Allen defense. He's reliable in a solid foundation. It's just not going to necessarily wow you, right? Right. With that. And he's also not like, he's very okay at run defense. He's not great at it, but he has a higher pass rush upside than some of the other edges you would be looking at this point.
Yeah, I think he's a better run defender than you're giving him credit for. I think he plays with great attitude, great desire. Like he's got a great motor. Like I know the prevailing thought is, like I've even seen it in our chat here soon, that you're going to have a chance at an edge of like in that second grouping of good players in the second round. I disagree. I think if you're passing edge in the first round, you're probably taking a chance of just passing altogether this draft. And that's something I'm actually genuinely worried about, because I just think you need someone good. Now, I think he is plenty worth the 25th pick, even if you knowingly are settling on a limited ceiling. Because like I said, on some level, you just need to get competency because you don't have competency. And I think TJ Parker offers that, because at this moment, Austin Booker is starting opposite end from Montez Sweat, and he's just not good enough.
And that brings us to the cornerback conversation. So I've been a Tyreek Stevenson apologist consistently, and I hold to it. I still think he's a talented player. I think that he's someone who plays off of swagger and vibes. And when he got hit with the negativity that came off of, and to his own admission, and we all know like that the whole Washington Hail Mary, that was not good, that hit him. But then this year he was playing well, and then he just got hurt. And then he didn't play as good after he got hurt. That being said, it seemed like the Dennis Allen actively tried to keep him off the field. I mean, they left Nashawn. So in your opinion, actually, Danny, was it a matter of that Nashawn Wright's turnovers were good and were keeping him on the field, or was it that Tyreek Stevenson, because Nashawn Wright was not playing good defense as a whole, or was it that Tyreek Stevenson's play was keeping him off the field?
Can it be both?
If you had to pick one that you felt more,
if I had to pick
strongly
more,
about.
one I would say that Tyreek was just in the doghouse and there was just no way out.
So that's why we have cornerback here as an option.
And I would argue that is just purely a football player, and this is including Maxey and Ashore, that Hood is the best football player of this grouping of players. He's probably got the best upside to be something really good. I think he's probably a pretty ready-made starter, even if corners do have their own, learning curve and growing pains when it comes to learning the NFL game. But I would argue he's probably your best talent at that pick.
Okay. So really, it's between I mean, because I agree, because I think Colton Hood is good in press man. He's a balanced athlete. He's scrappy. He has the talent to be an early, like a start right away for you. Like he could be your week 1 starter.
Yeah, he would start opposite of Jalen week 1.
And it's not just the Tyreek Stevenson conversation. It's also the Jalen Johnson conversation. Like, does he come back to even 80%, 75% of who he was? We just don't know that answer. So if you had to pick at this point between the two, between Colton Hood and TJ Parker, who would you pick?
This is the thing I've been struggling with even when I think about this offline. I think for the sake of knowing Dennis Allen's background, being a defensive backs coach, and how you might luck out with a defender later in the draft that can play edge at a competent level, like picking a Zion Young or as much as I like TJ Parker at this juncture and think he's well justifiable at the 25th pick, you're not finding a requisite starting corner later in the draft. You're just not. Those guys get picked early. I can find potentially a run stuffing, glass eating, edge setting defensive end in like round 3 or 4. So I'm inclined to almost go Colton Hood and just take the best football player available, knowing what Dennis Allen probably wants.
And I'm going to pull up this comment by Jolito Frito. A better D-line mask the secondary.
Yes, 100%.
We both agree with that. Danny and I have talked to that consistently. The thing I'll throw out there is we're not talking about, if we were talking about like a top 10 pick in a slightly better draft, I would be so on top of that. I just don't know that, like, if you just insert TJ Parker here, that your line gets that much better, that it helps your secondary that much. And in addition to that, I do tend to like more of the edges that might be available at 57 than some of the corners that are available at 57 and 60.
Yeah. So here's what I'll say. I think how many times have I said over the last 4 years, Mason, or 5 years now, 4 or 5 years? I hate how this regime has gone after roster building since Poles has been in charge. They build outside in. I don't like building outside in because the game is run inside out. But in this instance, like, I don't know that I can genuinely make the argument right now as I'm sitting here going through my thoughts that TJ Parker is a better football player. The 2 best football players available are, if I'm going off of my ratings of what I watched on film, is Colton Hood and then followed by Maxey and Ashore. And then I'm going to default to, well, what needs more help? The defense needs more help. So I would tell you probably go Colton Hood.
Also Jolito added, like, Colton Hood was out all year last year. No, he wasn't. I think you're thinking about Jermod McCoy.
He's thinking about McCoy.
Yeah, he missed the entire year last year. I will agree with you. I'm going to go with Colton Hood, which I did not think I'd be doing that when we were loaded this up, that we'd have a cornerback in round 1, but I think that's just kind of made sense for us here. All right, we have one offer. I don't think we want to take this. It's moving back to 64 as much as I'm excited about the 2027 class for this podcast in particular, I don't think that helps. So
for the act of the act of fruitlessness that this specifically is, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so same thing. We'll pick 4 players to have a conversation about. Jolito is already excited about a player that I'm gonna list. You know what? I almost forgot. Boom. Khari Thompson in the house.
Gentlemen, it is good to see you. There are a lot of other things that I wish were better, but it's good to see you. And I gotta say though, I would have gone with the Iheanacho. I'm not gonna lie, I would have gone with the OT right there. And listen, I understand the practicality, and I will say that Colton Hood at 25, I dig. I do.
Well, you weren't here to fight the fight, so shut up. Go away.
Well, you know what? Only most of that is not my fault. But I would say, look, I think I'm happy if you come away with that. It's really interesting. I know we want to get into pick number 57. I don't want to take too much of the time, but I think I could see taking an OT there if you like, if it just falls that way, because you can easily cut any of those guys that you signed.
Yes.
They don't need to be here. They're placeholders until you find the guy that you really want. And I don't think it precludes you from doing that. That said, look, and what you essentially did right here is, listen, you got two of the highest graded players, and just who you want, pick one. Yeah. So I'm with that.
All right, really quickly before we dive into our second round pick, got a quick ad read here. If you're a pet parent and you know how quickly vet visits can add up, or how easy it is to put things off until something comes up, that's why I've been looking into Bond Vet membership. And it honestly just makes staying on top of my pet's care feel a lot simpler. It's an annual membership designed for both routine visits and unexpected moments, so you're not second guessing whether to go in. You get one free annual exam, which is great for staying proactive, and 20% off additional exam fees. So the savings really build over time and make it easier to say yes to care throughout the year. I also like the memberships get priority access to their virtual care team. So if something comes up, you've got support right away. Plus, there are members-only events and perks, which is a nice added bonus. And from now until April 19th, they're offering $100 off your first year with code NEWMEMBER100, which makes it even easier to get started. It's just a more manageable, straightforward way to stay on top of your pet's care all year long. Bond Vet is pretty fantastic, if I do say so myself. All right, so now we can get into round two, pick 57. Actually, throw up here Colbert's comment. We got guys Lawrence, Hunter, and Halsey all there. Geez Louise and Price, Stukes. Wow. I mean, that's what I thought when I saw these names pop up. Our goal here is to get to 4 names that we really want to talk about. Unfortunately, we're not going to do the poll thing. That's dead to us because, again, StreamYard sucks.
I don't think 57 requires much discussion.
I'm good. We're going to throw the names out. Since Khari got stuck at Hallis Hall, so he was stuck in the bathroom, right? The door got jammed. He couldn't get it here for the first pick. Khari, what name do you want to throw into our 4?
Well, I have a feeling I know where Danny's going with this, but I'm gonna lob this grenade in here because it was on my mind for a lot of the combine process. People are going to get mad about this, but you got an extra second round pick, so throw Jadarian Price in there. I don't care.
Okay.
Because listen, there's probably going to be a run on running backs. The best one is already gone. If the second best one is here, I'm kind of in favor of taking that guy.
Gee, who's a Notre Dame grad in this chat right now? Good God.
All right, so Jadarian Price is one of the names. Danny, I assume I know who you're talking about. Who is your name?
Even if I find his tape highly troubling for a guy who's built the way he is, and I think he's just not good against the run because he plays pad level with a pad level that's too high. His bag of tricks as a pass rusher is very nuanced for a guy at UCF, and I think that's Malachi Lawrence. I don't think he's going to be here when the real draft happens. He's going to go top 50 fairly easily because guys that are built like him, who move like him with that set of pass rush moves in a bad draft class is going to go probably within the top 45 picks or so.
What is his RAS like? 10?
It's close to 10. It's like 9.5 or something like that. But I think if we're just sticking true to what it was, I was not expecting Malachi Lawrence to just be like, "What's up, dude? Hanging out."
Yeah.
But for the record,
9.9 by the way, RAS for Malachi.
Yeah. But for the record, to Kyrie's little grenade here, he is my running back too, fairly easily. I think a highly interesting running back with how he plays football. I don't think he's fast enough to play the brand of football he wants to play at the NFL level, where he's just kind of running away from things. And the testing bore that out. But I think he probably would have been close to a first-round pick in this draft had he had his own backfield where he was running around in.
I think. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead because I was going to move on to another thing. So you keep going.
Just quickly, I think his time speed isn't necessarily great. I think that this is one of those time speed.
He plays faster than his time speed does.
And he builds up. He's one of those long speed guys who runs away from you the longer that it gets going. And I feel it right. No, I understand. And I think his thing is he's very much a one cut guy, but the thing is he wants to bounce everything. So I will say that everything wants to go outside. He is a tackle breaking machine. I will say that. I feel like if you hone his instincts to be that one cut guy that you want, which I think that the materials are there, I think that has the makings of a pretty good running back and one with more juice than anything you've got right now.
Agreed.
Yeah. So it's one thing I'll say on Lawrence before I throw out. I'll throw two other names out here real quickly. The grades on him are a little all over the board. I mean, if you look at a Dane Brugler, he has him as his 36th overall prospect, 7th edge versus like a McShay.
Second one of those I've heard today, by the way.
McShay at 63 overall on his big board. So there is still, this is what is your flavor kind of a draft. To be fair, though, he also has R. Mason Thomas above Malachi Lawrence. I don't know if I agree with that at all. I don't like Malachi because a lot of people are throwing him as pick 25. But if you can get him at somehow, if he were to fall to 57, I don't think that's really a question. I think you do this. And because we pick again in a couple picks, I don't think we even need to do the other two names. I believe we should just go with Malachi Lawrence if everyone agrees here.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right. Malachi Lawrence, gone. The Bengals would like us to move 12 picks. We would pick up pick 110 and a future 4th. Is that something you want to entertain?
And you're getting a 20 pick upgrade from essentially 13.
Yeah, because you got to send back pick 129 as well.
I don't think that it's really worth it, but
yeah, it looks like for the most part the value is pretty even here. I don't think we really need to worry about that one.
No, I'd rather take the other top 60.
And moving back one pick to pick up a future 4th and giving up a 7th round pick. This doesn't really help us for the fun we're trying to have here, so we're not going to do a trade. Okay, so we lost AJ Halsey. He got taken, and Jadarian Price. He got taken. So we're sitting here at pick 60. I'm just going to throw out 4 names, and I'm going to let you two kind of battle it out. So I'm going to throw out, because this isn't a guy for me. I wouldn't take this person, but I'm going to put Lee Hunter out there because I know some in the chat and some other people would potentially like him. I'm going to throw out Traden Stukes. It says corner out of Arizona, but for the Bears, he'd go to safety. I'm going to throw out Jake Golday, linebacker out of Cincinnati. And I'm going to throw out Chris Bell, wide receiver out of Louisville. I think wide receiver is one that might surprise Bears fans as a potential round 2, round 3 pick. So I'm just going to throw, those are the 4 names. We got Lee Hunter, defensive tackle, Texas Tech, Chris Bell, wide receiver, Louisville, Traden Stukes, cornerback, safety, Arizona, and then Jake Golday, linebacker, Cincinnati. Danny, who's a name you would throw out right away? You would just say, you know what, this isn't for me out of these 4, and who would you lean towards?
It kills me to say it. I love Lee Hunter. He just doesn't fit.
Yep.
I love Lee Hunter. That Texas Tech defense, because the first prospect I watched in this draft cycle was Jacob Rodriguez, and I kept gravitating back to him. Like, who is this man wreaking havoc? And they built the defense through and around him and David Bailey. That's how that defense thrives. Good as Jacob Rodriguez is, and he was the most decorated linebacker prospect we've had since Notre Dame's own Manti Te'o. Like, the guy went to the Heisman ceremony. He's fantastic. But, he's a nose tackle who tested very poorly. Even if I think he's a better athlete on field than the testing would indicate, go look at Dennis Allen's history of defensive tackles. They're not him. They're just not. Yeah. I know they did some homework on him. I think they met with him at the combine or something. It's 15 minutes.
I think it was mainly to look at his weird shaped legs.
Yeah, he got the bird legs for a guy who's that big up top.
Great player. fantastic player.
I think we can kind of throw away Lee Hunter, right?
I would agree with that.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. It's honestly for the same reason that I wasn't feeling Caden McDonald watching, because I was at the combine. And again, like, look, it's underwear Olympics. I get it. But I think that they want explosive guys to be playing like that 3 technique or like playing inside, because you got a one gap. You got to be able to move. And those guys are like, they're not moving. And Lee Hunter is just like, he's so fun because you just can't block him for sustained periods of time. Like, he's inevitable. Like, he is. It might take a while, but he gonna get back there. You know what I mean? He's gonna overpower you one way or another. It's gonna happen. But I completely agree with you.
What makes it so much worse is he's a fun personality too. Like, he's got a personality to him. So it's hard to say it, especially because I love this team. But it's just.
Okay, so he's off the board for us. I'll just do a quick Chris Bell conversation for those who might be questioning why receiver and also why Bell. So why receiver is pretty straightforward. Yes, you're hoping that guy like Rome is healthy and he takes another step, because he did look solid at least before he got hurt with that stress fracture. You're hoping Luther Burden continues his ascent, but he did still have some mental errors at the end of last year. You don't have DJ Moore anymore. Jade Walker, while he's a fantastic story, he's still an undrafted free agent that you're not really 100% what you're going to get out of him. You signed Khalif Raymond, but he got brought in more for vibes and hard-nosedness and special teams necessarily than truly producing as a wide receiver. So it's entirely possible that having a wide receiver here would make a lot of sense. I mean, and Chris Bell in particular looks the part. I mean, he's a strong dude. Like, the frame is impressive, big hands, and pretty amazing body control and good run after the catch explosiveness. There are concerns, though. I mean, he had 4 years of experience, but he's still unpolished. His route tree is limited. And he is coming off of, he had the ACL injury in 2025, so he only had 11 games. So, the Chris Bell conversation can be a tough one, even if some of the traits are tantalizing.
I really like Chris Bell. I went to SIU, but if I had to pick a team that I like, it's Louisville, because years ago, Brian Brown and Michael Bush were awesome. And I just kind of stuck with them as like a team I followed. But I just don't know that you can justify the ACL part of this high.
I think that's tough, yeah.
Yeah, I would actually say, for one thing, I agree with you completely about the wide receiver conversation, because I think in the end, we saw this last year. They didn't have to take a wide receiver, but they took one because they were thinking ahead. And I think the guy that I was actually really interested in, once I saw people kind of mocking him to the Bears in the 3rd round, was Antonio Williams. And I think he probably projects more as like kind of your slot guy. But he's got better ball skills than you would think from a slot guy. You can also run a little bit. So I don't know. I almost see him as kind of being like another one of these, get the ball in your hands and see what we do, make plays. And he can also go and get the ball down the field a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to be a jump ball guy or anything, but I don't know. I like him as a playmaker. And I feel like Ben Johnson loves him some playmakers.
That he do.
And then the other 2 names we do have to discuss quickly before we move on to round 3, Traden Stukes, that safety out of Arizona, and I threw out Jake Golday. I think we can take Jake off only just because, I mean, if we're going to just go defense to defense in terms of not talking about the line, we're talking about, the back 7 here. You have players that can play linebacker for you week 1. You currently really don't love the hole you have at safety. So if you're going to pick between those 2, I would think Traden Stukes is probably the conversation point here.
I really like Jake Golday. I don't like him as much as draft Twitter seems to like him, where they're like all. I think he struggles moving side to side and trying to play sideline to sideline for a guy that tested the way he did. I think he's got a lot of growing up to do as a linebacker on the field, because I think it's just one of those things where he really just needs to play more, and I don't know that the Bears have the opportunity to let him go through those growing pains themselves. You saw what happened to the Bengals last year, starting 2 rookie linebackers with Demetrius Knight and the other kid whose name is slipping my mind. But it's a lot to ask. And when Traden Stukes is the other end of the coin, where man's got his ARP card, and typically I hate old prospects. Trayton Stukes is different. That's first round tape, and that's only going to fall because he's old. And I think if you can shore up your secondary further after maybe going with the corner Hood in the first round, I think that would make Dennis Allen very happy and allow you to kind of figure out the front end with the back end if you were to get two competent starters in with two of the first three picks.
My concern with Stukes at this point would be the projection that, because right, I mean, he played essentially like the fat nickel in that defensive scheme. It's really the FCAT, but I always call it fat for whatever reason. So you're now projecting him to safety, which I'm not saying he can't play that, but is that someone you want to take and potentially lean towards starting week 1 when he hasn't played that position?
I mean, that's the question in this draft, right? Because there's so many very flawed prospects in there.
There are.
Like, I just don't know what the answer is.
I'm almost leaning towards no, and I'm actually kind of upset about the 4 names I threw out now. Because we already threw out Lee Hunter's not the answer. We're not doing Jake
I'll tell you, I think you picked the wrong linebacker to include in that conversation.
If you say Josiah Trotter,
I love Josiah Trotter because that dude plays like a bat out of hell and wants to run through your goddamn face.
I'm going to throw out a bonus answer, a bonus name here, just because I feel like he should have been included in the first place. That's my bad. Is Grayson Halton, the defensive tackle out of Oklahoma?
Oh, that's tough. I know that I think they're going to adore him. I just don't want him.
So why don't you want him? If you had to summarize it in like 2 sentences, because we're running long here, we got to get going.
I just think he's inconsistently inconsistent and unproductive, and he's got short arms. Little baby arms.
So I'm just saying, out of the names that we've talked about, I'm kind of feeling like wide receiver right here.
That's where I'm at too. I feel like wide receiver is the choice here.
Okay, you guys can overrule me. I don't want to take the ACL guy.
He's a name.
Then take my guy. Take my playmaker, man.
Here, go to Ole Miss. Let's go see what's happening down with the running Rebels, because you want to do that. They got a little man who's willing to block, and he's actually the fastest man in his class.
Is he even? All right, if we're looking at, he's not even. He's at 96.
What pick is coming up, Mason?
Okay, you know what? Fine. We'll do this. All right. No Lee Hunter. No Chris Bell. I don't.
Mike Washington.
We're not doing that.
I swear to God, Kyrie.
All right. You know what? Executive decision. We need a starter. We're going to go with Trayton Stukes, and we're going to move on with this.
So now, pick number 89, wide receiver. Boom, let's do it.
Yeah, but the funny part is, look, the guy who went at 87 was Dejon Stribling.
Fuck this game.
That's pretty funny. All right, somehow Lee Hunter is still available.
Honestly, that's
We're not having that conversation.
Poetic justice. Okay, Kyle
that
Lewis.
Is poetic justice. It really is.
No, okay.
Here's Pittsburgh.
Sure, but here's the thing: we already took Trayton or Stukes, and that's our safety. I see Kyle Lewis as a nickel and or safety. So do we really need to be taking him? Also, we probably need to look at center.
Does Kyle Lewis leave his Velcro jersey in Pittsburgh when he comes here?
I would hope so. Is this really I'm almost thinking, is this really a conversation? We should be just looking at three different centers, right?
I mean, you wanted to do the wide receiver thing. It might be worth exploring who's there.
Okay, so here are the names I'm going to throw out. Connor Lew out of Auburn. He played center and would be a higher pick if it wasn't for the fact he tore his ACL at the beginning of the year, and I am more than comfortable with his ACL situation. I'm going to throw out Logan Jones because, again, just like a professional center that would exist there. And it looks like Slaughter might be gone. He would have been the third center I wanted to talk about. But is the guard from Wake Forest they talked to in the pre-draft process there, who they
we're talking about transitioning to center.
Faialili Faumomoi? I don't think that's him.
He was at Tech. He was at Georgia Tech or Wake Forest. I can't remember which one off the top of my head.
In terms of the centers that are currently listed, if he's
Well, he's
listed
a
at center,
guard.
no.
He's a guard.
I'm going in order. And then if you go to the centers, you're not giving me a name, which is super unhelpful. If we're being completely honest. I don't think.
You know
think
how
he's
many
there.
names are going through my brain right now with this draft process?
Honestly,
If you want to talk about wide receivers, the receivers that are currently in, I'll list the top 5 here. Jacoby Lane, Brennan Thompson, Kevin Coleman Jr., Kendrick Law, Cyrus Allen. Those are the top 5.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I think the answer is Lou.
It's offensive line probably right here. So either it's
For me,
Lou
it would have.
or it's
Yeah.
Logan.
What defensive tackles are available? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, you know who's available. Lee Hunter,
Now,
Grayson
now
Halton.
here's the question, right?
Daryl
Like,
Jackson.
Grayson Halton's here.
Yeah.
He's much more palatable here than he is at 60.
But
I'm with that, honestly.
Like, if you want to do the Grayson,
actually, really quickly, the Bills are offering. We trade back 2 picks, and we would upgrade pick 239 to pick 165.
I might
do it.
that.
Do it. Do it.
Okay.
Do it. Do it.
Oh,
All
look
right,
at
Grayson Halton pick.
Oh no, Denai's gone, Danny.
Yeah, but
Oh no, the guy whose tape I wanted to throw out a window. How dare that happen? And Grayson made it 2 more picks. I think that's
Halton.
I think Mason. I think this is a no thought process thing. Just take Grayson Halton.
Grayson.
The only thing I'm gonna we'll probably take Grayson. Do you remember the revolving door of centers the Bears had to go through until they, in theory, fixed it?
They have a center.
Until it wasn't fixed.
They have a center. He's
on a 1-year deal.
He was teammates and he was besties with your left guard. It's fine.
So do you think that there's a life that exists where potentially Bradbury plays well enough that they extend him?
No, I don't.
So now we're going into next year trying to find a center in either free agency or the draft. A position, I remind you, is hard for rookies.
Yeah, and Ben very much values the position.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just the value of Halton's too high here for what he could mean to Dennis Allen's defense.
When are we getting our center?
I would say probably your next. I would say probably your next pick.
Your next pick,
because you'll have effectively filled your defensive plethora of needs with the first few picks.
And then
Chat,
you can
help me here. How this is crazy.
Well, look, here's what I'm gonna say. I feel like I would honestly be surprised if they actually just went 4 straight picks on defense.
So would I, 100%.
So,
but the way this board specifically fell,
yeah, and I think that's what's going to do it, because there is maybe a non-zero chance that Iowa guy ends up there.
Ends up where?
At 120.
At this pick, you're saying?
Yeah.
There's a non-zero chance you're going to be able to find a good center or like switchable guard at 129, which is very common. Like teams do that all the time, like in round 4.
You're 100% right.
And again, we can't sing the praises of Dan Rauscher and then be like, well, he needs to have a more premium pick. Like
we're in the
especially
third.
not
That's
at
not
center,
premium.
which and again, not to hate on centers. You know what I mean? Like I'm not crapping on centers as a position.
You are though.
Khari Thompson hates centers. At him on his Twitter.
Look, this is a position that I think you can look for traits and smarts and be like, let's go. In
if it was that easy, the Bears would not have had Sam Mustipher starting for them as long as they did.
That is a different regime. We're
putting our brain in the mind of Ryan Poles / Ben Johnson right now. What would Ben Johnson do if Ryan Poles said, "Hey, here's our choice. We are going to go between Grayson Halton and we're going to go with Connor Lew. You get to pick which one we go with." What would Ben Johnson say?
Well, I just want to say
that's
Ben
not a fair
Johnson
conversation though.
With Garrett Bradbury, so I'm kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not a fair conversation because you're also operating the fact that you think the GM can tell the head coach to go scratch, which in this specific construction, I don't think he can.
I just think the center, we've seen time and time again that center is not a position you can just draft and play
I
immediately.
agree. But this is also coming down to the value. I think
the value of a Connor Liu, who should have been drafted earlier, if not for the people with the ACL thing, matters. And the fact that this is a perfect situation where he doesn't have to play at all this year, and you allow him to learn and just do his thing.
What else do we have in terms of defensive tackles?
You're starting to
I know
build
we already looked at this,
Gallimore.
but I want to see it again.
So that's what I'm saying. Oh, wait, actually, here, I actually clicked the right button. Like, Caleb Proctor is someone I'm very interested in out of Southeast Louisiana. Can we get him with the pick 129? Daryl Jackson, if he fell.
Daryl Jackson's not a fit. He's enormous, and he doesn't move.
But he's fun.
But he doesn't move. You can't do the fit thing and then say, take this guy that's not a fit.
Fine. Rashawn Benny is someone who does fit.
Oh, God. Throw Rashawn Benny out a window. No, thank you.
I think the Bears are going to like him. And I think people are lower on him than they should be. Zane Durant. How about him?
Zane Durant sucks.
Caleb
Proctor, I'll give you the Caleb Proctor idea.
Okay, how about this? We go with
is Landon available?
Okay, you go to okay. So this is gonna be our first
Landon's
better
available.
be right situation. So Connor Liu, and then if Caleb Proctor's not available at 129, then y'all got to throw down.
All right, I like that idea.
you got to square.
Connor Liu. I'm fine with the player. I just think Halton falling there was just kind of poetic.
It did. It would have been fun. All right, we're not trading. We talked too long. Get out of here. All right, let's look at the overall just listing really quickly. Caleb Proctor is still there, 128.
I would probably, for the sake of production and thinking and what he does and movement skills, I would actually argue Landon's a better pick here.
That's what I was going to throw out. Landon Robinson, defensive tackle out of Navy.
I did see his name down there.
I like Landon Robinson here, actually. It's not
okay.
sexy.
Well, what's our next pick here? What's our next pick? Is 180. Or 165. My fault.
165. Yeah. Because we did that trade where we got the
why don't we look at what wide receivers are available here?
Because we might be able to get Landon with that 160
or running back, since we haven't done running back. So offense, playmaker.
Eli Heidenreich.
Take your Eli Heidenreich and throw him out the window too.
I love me some Eli.
Why do you want to be defenestrating people? What is with you?
Okay, so we got individuals such as Kendrick Law out of Kentucky, Cyrus Allen out of Cincinnati, interesting name, Malik Benson out of Oregon, Josh Cameron out of Baylor, and Jeff Caldwell out of Cincinnati as well.
I just don't mess with any of these wide receivers anymore, man.
I don't. The only one of those that I would go with is Caldwell, and that's simply because Caldwell's
he's
specimen.
Big and fast.
He's a specimen, and the one thing you don't have on your receiving core is the big X who can just is the big fast guy. So if you want to do, I mean, I'm okay with that, actually.
That just feels so rich.
Because it
All right, what do we got with running back? So we see Katron. That's not. Look, I Katron, good player. I'm just not.
Katron's boring. He's fine.
It's not my thing.
Coach, I got 3 yards. Katron, we need 5 yards. Coach, I got 3 yards.
I'll get you 3. You guys
want to take Drew Aller?
Or maybe this is the point where we start spamming offensive line here.
What running backs are available?
They're not.
That's what I'm saying. Is basically like
super fun ones. I mean, you got Katron Allen, who you just threw under the bus. Seth McGowan, Kalen Black is interesting out of Indiana.
If I'm going to do Indiana, though, I'd rather go get Hemby later. I think Hemby is a more versatile player.
Yeah, but Kalen Black can actually run the ball and is not blind.
I don't think either of those running backs are that good. Is Adam Randall available?
Yeah, projected 210 on this list.
There.
I'm just not in on these running backs, if I'm being completely honest.
That's why. Look, that's why if you're even considering a running back, you probably got to do it by round 4, because at that point,
it's like round 3 or 4, or you do it in the 7th round with like a Noah Whittington or something.
Exactly, or an undrafted guy at that point, because like everybody else who's worth taking is gone. Like they all more or less gone. It's interesting because like. It's a fast running back class, and I saw that at the combine. The workout was great and all that stuff, but it's like, I'm not with it.
What defensive ends are available?
See, I was about to throw out this name. there's two on this list I'm currently looking at that I'm intrigued by.
Trying to
Is
see.
Barham out of Michigan and is Tucker out of Western Michigan?
I heard a lot of people really liking Gums when I was there.
I don't think I can get behind a guy with a name Gums. I feel like you lose.
I
just
actually
any
think
prestige.
if you're being honest, looking at the names and who I've watched, not the sexiest player, but what does he do? He's big and he takes up space. Anthony Lucas fits. He's a fit. He's
I mean, you
big
can say
and
the same thing then about. I mean, if you want to have
Yeah,
that convo, like a professional edge who will play for a while and is just gonna do the job. I mean, then you got Max Lewin out of Iowa.
yeah, Anthony Lucas is a more dynamic football player though. Barham's an interesting player because isn't he a converted linebacker too?
Yeah.
That's so Barham is really interesting to me just because I think he is very dynamic. And I think he's got hit because if you recall, he had that thing where he like headbutted the ref against Ohio State, which was kind of like an accident kind of a thing. But he's just, I think, a really unique player in the draft because he's got the traits of a really good pass rusher. He just has limited experience.
Yeah, I just don't know that he cares if he's
What do we got with linebackers?
Man,
Ooh.
I was excited about Barham. Oh, you can get like not a good linebacker in Harold Perkins.
Oh my God, Bryce Bocher? Absolutely. He comes in and he probably competes to start day one.
Because I feel like
really hoping we would get the.
I feel like you
Michigan
can't
linebacker.
leave this draft without getting one of these guys.
I feel like Bryce Bocher's your winner in that grouping. Harold
Okay,
Perkins.
give me 2 sentences to sell Bryce Bocher for those who don't know him.
Bryce Bocher is he's a little bit like Jack Sanborn, actually. He's a tackling machine. He's smart, heady, knows what he's doing. He's tough, leader. He's just solid.
He goes on the field and he tackles people.
He's got tackling fuel.
All right. Well, we've spent too long here. We're taking Bryce.
There you go.
Danny wins.
It makes sense. It does. I'm not going to fight you when it's logical.
Nah.
Do you want to trade back 3 picks for a pick at 220, giving up a future 7th?
We're going to be out on that, I think. Or what do you think?
We're giving up more value than we're getting. So goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh wait. So now we got to D tackle and Landon Robinson, right? That's the pick.
I think that's quite easily the pick, yeah.
So for those who don't know, Landon Robinson out of Navy, he might have to do some service stuff. So keep that in mind. But basically, he is short and doesn't weigh a lot, but he is a just dynamic player in the middle who fits exactly what Dennis Allen wants by someone who can just create havoc by creating penetration.
Mason, I just want to point out in the chat, because of the other side project I was doing in addition to this show, Building the Board, someone in the chat goes, Building the Board champion, but Bryce Bocher is there. That is true. And he wasn't even on the initial list in that project. He got thrown in last second, and he ended up winning. So there, Dan's players do things.
That's pretty funny. All right, so we're gonna go with Landon Robinson. We need a D tackle. He fits what Dennis Allen wants to do.
So can we just kind of cover a little bit of why I'm so stuck on the Dennis Allen defensive tackle fit thing?
Sure.
Because
hit the way you keep going.
The way Dennis Allen wants to deploy his defensive tackles, it's not just a lot of straight ahead rushing. It's a lot of stunting and moving around and getting these guys out in space and dropping them back and pulling them back forward. They want smaller guys with movement skills who are going to be able to chase things down and clean things up. It's not like so simple as just like, oh, well, Lee Hunter or Daryl Jackson are such great or good prospects, because they are in their own right, but they just don't fit. That's why I think I'm so hung up on the metrics and the fact that you need these great athletes at defensive tackle to be able to do the things Dennis Allen wants to do, unless you get a transcendent player who might be available, like, for instance, the big fella out in New York, but that's a different discussion. If you don't have access to a transcendent talent, potentially, you need to take the fit to make the defense work the way the coach wants it to work.
Even if you don't agree with what the coach is doing.
Proof.
Why is this? Oh, I didn't actually filter what I wanted to filter. That's why.
There we go.
Okay. So I'm throwing out as an idea, because the Bears do not have Durham Smythe anymore. Do they need a blocking third tight end?
Yes. And also, would I draft that guy? I don't know.
No, probably not.
I was just, and part of the reason I
It's a valid idea. I just
and I was saying that because there's a couple of guys here I like Hibner is a pretty versatile tight end where he rotated in the slot, inline, and wing. He did like a lot of stuff. He's not like a playmaker that's going to frighten a defense, but he's a useful, well-rounded tight end that I think could do like a little bit of all that, where it's not just a undrafted free agent, big guy that push tackle. Like he's a very physical blocker. He just isn't maybe as nasty as you'd like him to be.
I've got two guys in mind. I'm curious to see if they're around. I know one of them is around because I just saw his name on the wide receiver thing, which is it's round 7. If you want to get playmaking guy, I'd be down with some Lewis Bond. Just because like again out here in Boston with Boston College, your boy he makes plays. I'm also. What do we got for offensive linemen? I'm curious about some offensive linemen, what we got left.
So just a couple examples for some tackles. We got Tristan Lee, Carver Willis, Riley Malman, Nolan Rucci, Alan Heron, Chris Adams. For some guards, Alex Harkey, Caden Barnett, Dylan Wade, Ethan Oninawa, Micah Morris, Josh Thompson, Joshua Braun.
I'm good.
I would rather at this point. I'd rather throw something at like the wide receiver conversation.
I'd rather swing at the skill positions on offense at this point.
How about running back before I throw my name fully behind Lewis Bond? Let's see what we got for running backs.
Jaden Ott.
Jaden Ott's cool. Yeah. Noah Whittington is who I would take Noah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he fits the archetype more.
I think Noah. I mean, the only other one I would even consider. Jam Miller is of whatever. Jaden Ott's cool. Noah Whittington's probably the one I think is the best on that list. But Desmond Reed is interesting. He's a little Dion Lewis-y. He's a little water bug. Like, yeah. I don't know if they'll love him, but he was like the entire Pittsburgh offense.
I'm like thinking to myself, like, is that your 7th round pick or is that a priority free agent?
At what point do you want to secure him though? Like, if you love him, you take him.
Exactly, right. So
I would say it's either Lewis Bond or either Demond Reed or Noah Whittington, Mason.
I like Noah Whittington, so I mean that's what I would agree with that.
I'm cool with Noah Whittington. You cool with Noah Whittington?
With that because and again, I think in terms of what your roster looks like now, I'd rather take a swing at a running back that might do something because I just look. Yeah, you're gonna have DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, and like I don't know. Did Travis Homer get signed away? I might have missed that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's gone. I don't think he's on a team.
Yeah, I thought he got signed somewhere. So you're gonna need something in that room. So like obviously you probably bring in like one more vet or something like that for competition purposes. But I just feel like there's juice that needs to be acquired. And listen, you hit on round 7 last year, so it's not like you can't do it again.
With Travis Homer signed with the Steelers.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
good job, guys.
Kind of an unconventional draft. Definitely not how I thought this would turn out. If I'm being honest, I did not think we'd leave the first round with the cornerback. We can have the conversation about if Malachi Lawrence really makes it to 57. If I had to redo a pick here, it would probably be the Traden Stukes one. If we could get like a different safety. I have other people I'd probably be more interested at that position if we're being completely honest. But other than that, I mean, I think
it was a really solid draft. Yeah.
I feel like I'm a little bit bummed, honestly, about the not getting the wide receiver at 60. I feel like I probably would have wanted to do that, but I mean, it is what it is. And listen, that's a luxury thing, though. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, I mean, you can't be too mad about that.
Yeah. All right. You know what? A lot of good conversation. Only had time for the one mock. That's totally fine. Sorry, all that the crazy, silly, stupid poll didn't work. Really quick,
we covered a lot of ground though.
Yeah,
we did.
And I do want to remind everybody, I'm going to throw up a QR code real quick. I think I'm going to throw one up as long as this stupid thing works. I'm salty right now. All right. If you scan that QR code, it'll actually take you to the page for Theory Chicago in River North. Why am I bringing that up? Because we have our draft event a week from tonight. Actually, so in 15 minutes, it'll be 24 hours away. it is time to tell you about something we're really excited for, the Bare Bones live show on draft night. We're going to be live Thursday night at Theory Bar in River North. And if you're a Bears fan, this is the place to be. We'll be hanging out, talking draft picks in real time, and soaking in the energy of one of the best nights of the offseason. We've got some awesome sponsors involved. Windy City Sports Cards with a plethora of dope items. Foam party hats. Yep. The legendary cheese grater hats. Wild Coat. You know, that lifelike bear hat you see me wear on the show? You can get a gift card from them. Wrigleyville Sports. They donated a Colson Loveland jersey. If you come out, you'll be able to grab raffle tickets and have a shot at winning some great gear. On top of that, we're working on some drink specials for the night so you can enjoy the draft without breaking the bank. I've already promised I'm going to pay for the first 5 people that come up to us. I'm going to buy them a drink. Danny just gets an auto drink. Any of our close friends of the podcast, if they come out. So come hang out with us, talk Bears, win some free stuff, grab a drink, and just enjoy the night. It's going to be a great time.
And Kyrie's going to helicopter in and parachute down.
Yes.
We say that every year, and one year it'll actually happen.
It'll actually happen.
One year, listen. 1 year it will actually happen, and I'm not going to tell you.
Just going to show up. It's going to be pretty dope.
Just going to pop up.
He's a hard target to see, though. All 5'8" of him. He's coming.
Hey,
5'8"
is
is
generous.
generous.
Get out of here.
5'8" is extremely generous. I will say, though, it makes me a lot harder to get a hold of when I play flag still. Like, you know.
No, you're 100% right. Khari, before we get out of here, I do have to ask you a question. So Danny and I talked about this a little bit in the green room. What are your thoughts on the Dexter Lawrence conversation? Would you trade 25 straight up for him? And how does that, if you did, how does that affect your draft thought process?
I'm with it. I wrote a column for Windy City Gridiron. Now here's what I'll say. Like, I obviously last year was a down year for him. It was not up to the standard of literally like the previous years where he was a top 5 defensive tackle in the league every year. Beyond that, I feel like there's probably the extenuating circumstance of the Giants suck and he's tired of being there and he's pissed off at the Giants being a bad organization. For me personally, I would be okay with that, because what player at number 25 are you going to get who is going to impact your defense or impact your team, period?
Nobody.
Anywhere near the degree that Dexter Lawrence would. And then if you do that straight up, again, it's a lot. And personally, I'd be trying to send like a 2. Like let me send one of the 2s or the 3s or whatever.
Schefter floated out as 2nd and a 5th.
Yeah, so I would be trying to do that instead of 25. That said, listen, he is immediately a player who is going to come in and transform your defense.
Yeah, he changes everything.
And that's what, and I keep pointing towards, because again, I'm out here in Boston. I saw what the Patriots just did. What did they do in free agency? Their defensive line, really their entire defense the previous year was crap. And then they go ahead and they sign Milton Williams. And when he was playing, they were like not allowing 50 yards a game on the ground. Teams could not run on the Patriots, and then he gets hurt, and the defense slides up, and then he comes back, and they make the playoff run basically just off of Milton Williams' presence and Christian Gonzalez. So you need that kind of transformational player on your defense.
The guy was the best defensive tackle in football for 2 of the last 3 years. That's where the conversation
more than that. I would say more than that.
Well, Aaron Donald was still playing, is my point.
It's fair points. But that's what I'm saying. He's no worse than a top 5 defensive tackle in the league, basically his entire career, more or less, up until last year.
Also, I don't appreciate the chat trying to make you the running back guy, Kyrie. That is.
I know. I'm stealing your bit.
You're not taking my bit from me.
It sucks that that as many of us love running backs as we do, like we need a little more diversity in the position that we just absolutely love.
Yeah, but I think that there's, well, for me, it's like I'm usually wide receiver guy. See, I was trying to get you on some wide receivers.
I agreed with you, by the way, about like the fact we didn't get one in this draft. I think the Bears will take one because Ben Johnson's got to get a toy, right?
I just so
you're
firmly
gonna tell
believe
this man he can't get playmakers.
I so firmly believe
Johnson
the kid
can't
from
get no
all
playmakers.
There are certain players that I've made it just known in my head that they're going to be a Bear.
The Ole Miss guy, yeah.
The Ole Miss guy, I'm just so convinced is a Bear already. Like they're going to take him at 57 or 60.
Go watch him block on like
Go
run
watch
plays.
him block, dude. He wants to rip your face off. He's a little guy, but he wants to, Chihuahua, mini Doberman. It's fine.
All right, y'all. Thank you both for joining me for this. It was great. Khari, thank you for popping in. I know, again, you got stuck in the bathroom at Hallis Hall, but, you made it out safe and sound.
I had the Lamar Jackson situation, where like I can't say I had to go to the bathroom, but, that's what happened.
That's really what it was.
I came
hopefully
in the game-winning touchdown pass. You know how it is.
You Paul pierced it. You just needed the
Need a blow.
Had to get carried off the court to go to the bathroom because if I walked, it was going to be trouble.
But hopefully, some of y'all that are listening are going to be able to join us this next Thursday. We'd love to chat. But besides that, bear down, everybody.
Appreciate y'all.